What's up, guys? This is DemonAce227, and I am back to show you the final showcase of the build, for at least this iteration of the build, using the Widowhail bow. I've taken this build as far as I'd like for it to. This last update is going to be showing you where I've ended, mainly focusing on defenses for the update to the build without losing out on too much damage. Sitting at no tailwind stacks, we have 143,000 damage on bow shot and 68% evasion. If I put tailwind stacks all the way to 10, we've got 164,000 damage on bow shot and 76 evasion. The reason this evasion right here is so important is because we are using acrobatics. So getting 76% evasion while using acrobatics is very nice for the survivability. You can see my resistances. I'm not capped out on fire right now, and my chaos got lower, but I'm not having too much trouble surviving anymore. You can also see I've got 1600 energy shield, almost 1700 life. With Grim Feast, that's 3300 energy shield, 1700 life, for, a total of 4000 effective health. No, I did that math wrong. 5,000 effective health. Between the evasion and health and energy shield, the build's feeling really good, and we didn't lose out on too much damage. If I were to go in and kill a monster and have the Ice Bite and Enervation proc, you'd be up to about 280,000 damage per second on the sheet here. And so on the last video we were at 350,000, and yeah, we on the sheet we lost damage, but I'll explain kind of why that is and what you can do about it if you so choose. So let's just go over the skills first. The bow shot is going to be using Primal Armament, Fork, Innervate, Ice Bite, and Martial Tempo. So nothing's changed except for Fork. So when I noticed I wasn't getting that 350k DPS, I tried all sorts of different support gems. I tried the Inevitable Critical, Super Critical, Acceleration, Ambush, and Cold Pin, because I wasn't getting. Well, you know what, the way I should explain this first is I had Primal Armament here. I kind of wanted to be lazy with this build and do as little switching around as possible when it came to doing boss fights. Um, and you can see the damage dropped off by 30,000 there. Very big damage loss. And so with that extra slot, I tried putting all this other stuff in, and it just wasn't doing enough damage and proccing my heralds. So for mapping, you do want to have Primal Armament in your bow shot. I also tried like Lightning Infusion in the bow shot to just get more damage and make it more comfortable. And if you do want to use Inevitable Critical, it will get you back up to that 350k DPS whenever it's fully maxed out and your Innervate and Ice Bite are ready to go. But it's just crit chance. It's fake damage on the sheet. It really doesn't do anything. So what I ended up doing was going with Fork. It doesn't do any damage, and in fact, you lose damage after it forks. But this amount of damage we have right here is I'm running, T16, 17, some 18 maps, and not having any issue proccing the heralds as long as the modifiers on the maps are good. So Fork just feels really comfortable when mapping, especially in breaches. When it forks and it hits another enemy, your Herald of Lightning procs the ice, and it just works and feels good. If we're doing a big, like a pinnacle boss or a difficult boss, we will move Primal Armament down to Lightning Rod. But other than that, we have Overcharge, Scattershot, Lightning Infusion, and Concentrated Effect. I think Overcharge here was, I changed over to this for extra magnitude of shocks. If you don't want to do this, conductivity is the next best one for more chance to shock, but we're shocking enough on the build. Move that back. Cast on shock. We've got ball lightning, impetus, inspiration, deceleration, and I switched back to Eye of Winter instead of Sniper's Mark. Eye of Winter is just, I don't know, it works. Sniper's Mark was doing okay. Eye of Winter, I figured having more crit chance instead of crit damage was going to be better for the build, and I think it worked out well. As you saw from the Zesht fight, the build is working. Orb of Storms, we've got Chain, Unleash, Font of Rage, and Overabundance. I still don't know about Unleash and Overabundance, if it really matters or does anything. I might change out Unleash for Font of Mana. That's probably what I'll do. I don't think having 2 orbs down is really helping all that much. I mean, Overabundance will give you 2 orbs, you just have to push the button twice. Um, so, sorry about that. Anyway, it still gets the job done with this setup as well. Herald of Thunder, we've got Longshot, Cold Infusion, Glaciation, and Lightning Mastery. Nothing really changed here. Um, if I do put a 5th one on here, I'll probably put Cold Pen on Herald of Thunder. Herald of Ice, Magnified Effect, Elemental Focus, Lightning Pen, and Cold Mastery. Um, I already have Lightning Pen on here. I don't know what I would put on it as the 5th gem if I had it, but Elemental Focus, since kind of Herald of Ice is our main um, AoE clear damage dealer, I just wanted more damage on that as much as possible. So I don't care if it inflicts ailments, I just want it to burst in AoE. Conductivity for Lightning Pen. We have Persistence, Curse Ground, Heightened Curse, and Ritualistic Curse. Nothing's really changed there. Grim Feast, nothing on this one. Wind Dancer with Maim, Blind, and Cannibalism. And my favorite change to the build, Blink. We're no longer using Ghost Dance. We're just using Blink instead. We do have Ingenuity on it for the cooldown recovery rate. So Blink replaces your dodge roll with Teleport, and it has gotten me out of so many sticky situations. By far, I think that's the best change I've done to the build, and it's one that I'll be sticking with whenever I move on to a different build for sure. The way we get this to work in our build is while we're mapping, Cast on Shock is just turned off. Blink costs 60 spirit, Cast on Shock costs 60 spirit. So we turn Cast on Shock off while we're mapping. When we're doing a boss, we turn off Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice to get this 60 for Cast on Shock. Since the Heralds do nothing to the boss, and Cast on Shock is our boss killer. So, uh, yeah, definitely my favorite change to the skills here. Blink has definitely helped out in survivability. One of the other things we were trying to do with the build was if you put, when you put on Thief's Torment, you lose your rings, and there you go. We dropped down 50k damage from that on Bowshot. And I really was trying to get away from using Thief's Torment on a boss, but the Cast on Shock uses so much mana. Therefore, I purchased the Melting Maelstrom, which whenever you use it, you can see our mana right there. It completely refills it. So I did do a test with Melting Maelstrom on Zesht, and I ended up beating them. I'll put it at the end of the video if you want to stick around and watch what it looks like, not using Thief's Torment. Long story short, we still just use way too much mana in this build with all the lightning rods and Cast on Shock, and it doesn't do, at least for me, it doesn't do enough mana or enough damage in the amount of charges that we have to kill the boss. So don't bother I mean, it's still a good flask to have if you can get it, But for this build, you still want to be using Thief's Torment. But as you saw in the Zesht fight, it's still working just fine. You don't have to have it. So that's the mana flask. The bow hasn't changed. We did change the elemental bonus runes over to crit damage bonus, and that gave us, we're sitting at 453%, and I believe before we put those on, we were at like 350. So another 100% crit damage bonus, which has felt really nice, and I believe that's part of why the Zesh fight went well. The rings, I don't think we've changed the rings. Um, as far as any stats of what you're looking for, big cold damage, lightning damage to attacks, rarity, resistances, life, whatever you can get on them. The helmet we did change. We're no longer using the Aziri's Disdain. We switched to a helmet with as much energy shield as we can get, max life, rarity, and resistances. This one was 4 or 5 divine, somewhere around there. So we're getting into some pricey upgrades for the build, but for the survivability you get out of making this swap, it's definitely worth it. And I'll show you where we get some of that extra survivability from the passive tree by equipping this helmet. The amulet, I did take the plus level to projectiles off in order to get more resistances, intelligence. I also did it because I wanted less levels to make Melting Maelstrom work. I mean, I even tried doing a boss fight with a level 11 lightning rod to reduce the amount of mana that we use. It still didn't matter, but it's fine. The 2 level projectiles isn't giving us that much. It could boost your damage on bow shot more. Regardless, it's fine how it is. Just make sure you have the spirit and resistances and whatever else you can find that would be nice for you. We're still using Doomsayer on the anoint, and I did try using Wild Storm for a little while, and it felt great on bosses, not for mapping. Doomsayer, I decided to go back to that, so I wasted a couple divine trying to get, where is it? Right here. Wild Storm, 15% more lightning damage. Felt great on bosses, not for mapping. I wanted the extra area of effect on our Herald skills, so that's what we stuck with. The quiver, I haven't changed anything here. The body armor was a big change. Um, you can see we are sitting at 2000 evasion rating body armor. We did this for 2 reasons. We want to use acrobatics. One of the passive nodes gives us double the evasion rating on our body armor, so it's at 4000. And there's another node that gives you energy shield based on your evasion rating. So we're double dipping into extra evasion rating, acrobatics, and energy shield with this. If I take this off, 1660 energy shield. So we lose 300 energy shield, which is quite a chunky amount. I mean, that's really good. 300 from just having an evasion rating chest on. Uh, so I was mainly looking for the highest evasion rating I can get and spirit. That's the main thing I wanted. I got some lightning resistance, and I didn't really care about the rest. I just needed the spirit and the highest evasion rating we can get. We're still using the ingenuity on like pinnacle bosses, but I have actually found that in mapping, the headhunter just feels better. It helps with survivability. It gives you extra damage sometimes, depending on the rare monster you kill. Just for general mapping, headhunter does feel better. So definitely pick this up. It's fairly cheap now, roughly 3 divines, 2 3 divines, and I'll swap back to Ingenuity if I can get a better one, one that's rolled better. But Headhunter for mapping, Ingenuity for bosses. I know there's a lot of changes, but you do a lot more mapping than you do Pinnacle bosses. So I don't have Ingenuity in my inventory all the time, just when I'm going to go do a Zest or a Expedition boss or something. Um, and then Boots didn't make any changes here, but those are the stats you're looking for. So yeah, I tried to make it as, as automatic as possible to where I could just walk through a map, kill the monsters, walk into the boss room, kill the boss, and not have to come in here and, I gotta do Thief's Torment, gotta come over to skills, gotta move Primal Armament down to Lightning Rod, and I gotta turn Heralds off, turn on Cast on Shock. I mean, yeah, it's still a little tedious, which is why this is as far as I'm taking this build. I don't think I can do much better with it, but I do believe there's, the Ice Shot or Lightning Shot, Lightning Arrow, Deadeye will help me make it a more automated build that I don't have to do all that setup for. Regardless, as tedious as it is, it absolutely gets the job done. So it's still a great build, and it's still what I'm running until I'm ready to switch over. That does it for items. Let's look at the passive tree. Your ascendancy, you're going to be looking for point blank, more damage to enemies the closer they are. Endless munitions for the extra projectile. Then, of course, gathering winds and wind ward. Big changes to the passive tree. Nothing much here. We're still going straight down, getting all of your quiver effect bonuses, movement speed and evasion rating. Make sure you come down here for the catalysis and the extra jewel slot. We still want acceleration down here. It's a good chunk of damage on the build. Extra jewel slot down here. We are doing feathered fletching. Oh, that reminds me. I didn't mention this. I told you earlier I tried acceleration because it says, gives you more projectile speed. Well, that's the key word there is more projectile speed. Feathered fletching gives you bonuses to damage based on increased projectile speed, increases and reductions. So that wording is very important. Acceleration does not work with feathered fletching. We messed around with sniper, and it was okay. It works, but we needed those 2 points for somewhere else. We'll probably get them back if we ever get to that level before the next league. We're still coming to this side of the tree for all the extra crit chance, crit damage. I'm just looking at it, wondering if I even need to take the heart-stopping part here. The main thing you want is the attacks have 1% critical hit chance. Acrobatics was a big change. If you're ready to try to get over to acrobatics, that 70% less evasion rating hurts. What you want to make sure you have is anywhere from 68 to 70 evasion without your tailwind stacks. And then once you get your tailwind, you should be above 75, and that's the sweet spot, so that whether you have tailwind or not, you're sitting at around 70% evasion rating with acrobatics. You're going to be dodging a lot of hits. So acrobatics, this is the bestial skin here is the one that gives you more evasion rating from your body armor. That's why you want that. Falcon technique, attack speed per dexterity. Also, you're taking intelligence wherever you can on this tree, on the traverse nodes, the attribute nodes, intelligence as far as you can. This one's a little new up here. You subterfuge mask. 2 evasion rating per 1 maximum energy shield on equipped helmet. So we've got 400 energy shield. That is 800 evasion rating. If I unequip it, we're still at 10 stacks. I'm still at 70% evasion. I want to be at 75 with acrobatics. If I let the tailwind stacks fall off, which is going to take a few more seconds. There we go. 62. Could have swore it was 58 last time I checked. Anyway, so you don't have to have this. I'm just saying, for me personally, it feels a lot better having that extra 10% on the evasion rating. So subterfuge mask, we did not. We spec'd out of Essence of the Mountain. And the reason for that is because we got We spent a little bit of money. We got an Against the Darkness Time Lost Diamond with 1% increased max life on the small passive skills and 4% damage as extra cold damage on notable passive skills. That's the big ones. So, like this one up here, we get the extra cold damage. These guys give us the extra cold damage, and all the small ones in between, except for not the attributes, but the other ones, will give us extra life. This was ungodly expensive when I started looking around for what build to make, and I got this for like 6 divines the other day. So I think it's pretty affordable now. And if you can get one, you definitely should. And you can get a lot of cold damage and max life from this section of the tree right here. So because of that, Jewel, we're taking, as much as we can get here, which is why we're coming all the way up to this side for extra magnitude of shock and cold and lightning pin. If you don't have the time lost Jewel, then absolutely put those points back down here into Essence of the Mountain and move speed, whatever you can get here. We are going to be coming down here for the crit damage, increased damage if you delta crit, attack speed, and as much evasion and energy shield as we can get. And like I said, I did spec into Wildstorm on my amulet, which is insanely expensive. 2 divine to get the isolations and slap that on there, and it works and it gives you a good deal of damage, but it's just not necessary. And the extra area from Doomsayer just makes mapping feel much better. So that's why I'm keeping it there. Lastly, we are coming up here still for all the extra crit damage and extra damage if you delta crit. Extra jewel here, and this is the other new part of the tree. We're coming up here to get Spectral Ward. You get evasion rating and energy shield all the way up, and 1 to maximum energy shield per 12 evasion rating on body armor. So if you have a 1200 evasion rating body armor, that's an extra 100 energy shield. And I've got 2,000, and with all the extra bonuses and everything, it's giving me an extra 300 energy shield. So that is our passive tree. I don't think there's anything else to go over here. What I will be specking into next is going to be either lightning, arrow, or ice shot build. I've already got a couple of bows to use. Yeah, I bought this one just to have it ready. Roughly 10 divines, so just getting the bow is going to be the most expensive part of the next build for sure. And then I actually crafted this bow, which I think is going to be the one I'm going to use. And I crafted this quiver, which is what I'll probably be using, at least to start and see how it goes. Anyway, that should be it. Oh, you know what? One last thing I'm going to talk about. If you are running maps and you're having trouble, you're still dying, you're not having a good time, there are still some modifiers to look out for on this build. Keywords are going to be, at least for me, freaking PS5. Burning. I don't want any maps with burning ground. It's not going to kill you every time, but it's really annoying and slows you down. Evasive. You don't want monsters to be evasive. Again, it doesn't make them more dangerous, but more annoying and gives them more opportunity to get close to you and hit you. The big ones are going to be resistance. Monsters have increased resistances, elemental resistance. That's going to hurt your heralds. And the big one is ailment. If monsters have increased element threshold, you're never going to proc your heralds on them. If you do, you got to sit there and wail on them for a little bit to build up that freeze. So change those maps. Make sure you don't have those modifiers when you're running them. Put on blink, switch over to acrobatics and get a lot of energy shield, and you're going to have a good time. So that should do it for this guide. I hope you all enjoyed, and stick around for when we update to the next build. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and thank you all for watching.
The abyss knocks loose and is answered by four without grasp. We are fury. Infinite pursuit.
Don't mind if I do.